Hello everyone, and welcome to another vlog. As you can see behind me, I'm continuing on my mission to see all the missions in California. Well, as many as I can at least. And today I'm at Mission Santa Clara in Santa Clara, California. Also my alma mater, Santa Clara University, so some nostalgia here. But anyway, we'll look into some of this mission's history and learn a little more about it and look around. Let's go. Mission Santa Clara was the 8th out of the 21 California missions that were established between 1769 and 1833 all along what is now the state of California. They were established by the Catholic priests of the Franciscan order and were backed by the Spanish Empire at the time. So, big part of California history, and we'll go explore this one. So Mission Santa Clara is one of the 21 missions in California, and it's actually one of the newer facades. We'll get to that later, but first they have this bell, which is all along El Camino Real for the historic trail there. And you can see here Mission Santa Clara, founded 1777, just below the doors. So this mission actually does go pretty far back in time, originally 1777 as we saw, and in a couple different locations as well before moving to its current location. But you can see here some of the iterations of the mission, including with a painted facade, and then even kind of a very different look for the mission. But you can see here that it was erected on this site in 1822 and restored after a fire in 1928, where they restored the building itself and even brought out the facade. So this church actually burned down a couple times, and this is the latest version of it from the 1920s. So pretty interesting, huh? This is the, I think, third version of the church. So it's been through quite a lot through the years, but it's now nearing its 100th anniversary of the rebuilt church. And an interesting fun fact is that the church, as mentioned earlier, is the only mission that is part of a university, so Santa Clara University. And there's even an old stone here when it was Santa Clara College, so you can see that element of its past. But a little fun fact that it is the only mission that is part of a university. Unsurprisingly, the mission has a pretty storied past, and that also includes the bell tower and the bell that hangs in there itself. It was given to the mission church by King Carlos IV of Spain in 1798, and it still rings to this day. So, show you the bell actually ringing. So this is the bell ringing for Mass now as we hear it. There's also this California historic marker mentioning that Santa Clara is the first mission to honor a woman, Clara of Assisi, as its patron saint, and it was founded in 1777, as we know, and that's why it's a historic landmark. And another interesting thing is looking up close, as I mentioned earlier, at all of these details of the mission itself. These were formerly, in the original mission, painted on, all of these aspects that are three-dimensional sculptures now. These were all just painted on, and these statues and the sculptures, as you see, are more vibrant coming out of the church as a 3D sculpture effect. So definitely a good iteration of this mission. We'll also take a look inside the mission itself. So go ahead and open the door. And even within the mission, which is a beautiful interior, as you can see here, there's even a bit of history of the mission in this section here. So you can see these banners, which represent the various phases, including the actual founding of the mission system, the native tribe that was originally here, of course St. Clara of Assisi that the mission is named after, and you can see the mission through the years as mentioned earlier. So pretty interesting there. And then they even have a marker that says that this was an area crossed by Lieutenant Colonel Juan Bautista de Anza. So that's a historic marker you see throughout California. This painting was created in 1889 by Riva Giuseppe Bergamo, and it's the Holy Family. It was in the original baptistry, and it was saved in the 1926 fire. There's also this chapel honoring St. Joseph. This is the St. Anthony Chapel, honoring St. Anthony of Padua, first follower of St. Francis. On the side of this chapel hangs a portrait of St. Cajetan, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, Cayetano in Spanish. And this chapel is dedicated to St. Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuit order. And here in the St. Francis statue is a rescue statue from the mission era of St. Francis. So it dates back to then. It was saved in the 1926 fire. But yeah, even the main part of the church itself, including its ceiling that you see here, and the paintings that they've done on the sides and on the roof are very detailed, and definitely have the mission look, the California mission look. So definitely worth also coming into the mission, which is usually open most days, just to see the interiors, which again includes the main church itself. And just to the right of the church there is a flower pathway, and you'll notice there's a gated area with additional roses in there. This is actually a former burial site, so it is closed off, but you can peek through and see the garden through here. Now there are a notable amount of roses surrounding the mission church, and see another nice area as well. And then there's this section to the left of the mission with the wisteria growing over this archway canopy area. This is also worth walking through and seeing up close, especially in the springtime when this is in full bloom. And behind me now is the old adobe wall, the oldest structure still on the campus. And while the mission was rebuilt quite a few times, this section of the adobe wall that you see here is original and remains on the campus. So, this was actually dating back to around 1822, and this and the adobe lodge next to it are still intact and original, and it just proves that this adobe type of construction is actually pretty durable. It withstood numerous floods, earthquakes, and fires that plagued the mission throughout the years, and it's a nice kind of piece of living history that the original adobe walls are still here on the campus. So yeah, pretty interesting. This wall dates back to 1822, and you can see the remnants of the wall here still maintained. And this originally was part of a quadrangle, so 4 buildings, 4 adobe buildings. It includes the adobe lodge, which is still used by the university for various events. Walking through it here, you can see this area has been kind of new added to the old, but it's still nonetheless an original adobe wall. We see the adobe lodge sign here with the 1822 date just above. And yeah, pretty interesting area. This is all original to the mission area as part of basically 4 corners, a quadrangle. Interesting fountain over there too. And nearby, this is also pretty interesting. There's this statue, and the statue is on top of what was once the well for the quadrangle. All right, and I'm standing on pavers right now that are included in front of the mission here and all throughout the campus behind me. Now, back in my day, this was the Alameda. This was a street where cars would go through and park. But now they made it all walkable, Sonny. It's true, they did this a long time ago, and now I feel extra old, on top of being surrounded by 18 to 22-year-olds on this campus, but nevertheless, things continue to change here all the time, and that's part of the history. So all this area in front of the mission, all of this brick area was originally a paved road, and cars would go through here and park here. When I went to school, that was all part of here. This pavement was added within the last, definitely within the last 10 years, maybe even within the last 5. This originally was just all parking spaces as far as the eye could see. Looks much better now. Yeah, this is a much better look, just having this pathway, I have to say. And that rhymes. I'm a poet and I don't know it. Alright, well, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you found this interesting. I'll continue to explore the California missions among other types of videos that I do, so please be sure to subscribe and check out my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.